Hi guys in YouTube world. I am doing another video. I know that's surprising, right? Surprise, surprise, two videos back to back. But I wanted to actually do a video letting you guys know that I am keeping both my CYO dolls. I ended up um, getting a Nellie doll, so therefore I didn't really need a CYO Nellie, and I was going to basically bless someone else with a CYO Nelly, but my family had already developed an attachment to this modern day Nelly CYO doll. So we ended up purchasing a second CYO doll just so that we could keep both CYO dolls. So both of the Nellies we ended up purchasing. And one was supposed to replace the other, but we just felt like we loved both dolls and we want both dolls to stay in the collection. So you can never have too many dolls, right? So we were fortunate enough to be able to keep both CYO dolls um, just by purchasing both of them at the same time rather than exchange one for the other. So both of these dolls are ours, bought and paid for. So we're definitely excited about that. I'm a rewards member, so that means that I do get points every time I make a big ticket purchase item or every time I buy anything from American Girl. I received some kind of point for the purchase. So, because these are not inexpensive dolls, these dolls are pretty pricey. I am happy to be a rewards member so I can get those points back. And of course, I always use those points to purchase other things, other doll supplies, whatever my family wants, whatever I want for my adult doll collection. I can also get through the point system by being a rewards member. So these are the two dolls now side by side. You can see that even with Nellie having the Josefina face mold, um, she still looks, as a doll, she still looks a little bit larger than my recent purchase of my newer CYO doll, Bryce, who the full name is obviously Condoleezza Bryce from the last video, or for those of you who have watched the last video of the big reveal, her full name is Condoleezza Bryce, but we call her Bryce for short. So I did feel that since we decided to keep Nellie as a part of our collection, we didn't really want to call her modern day Nellie. It just sounds more like a song than anything else. And we just felt like it wasn't really right to call her or to give her that nickname, modern day Nellie. So we wanted her to have her own name along with Bryce. So we decided, in honor of the royal family and what's going on with their new arrival, Lilibet, we really liked that name, Lilibet. And so I thought it wouldn't really fit this stall, I felt, because we already felt that Condoleezza Bryce was a perfect tribute to the former Secretary of State, or the 66th Secretary of State, 66th Secretary of State. I don't know if you can ever really be a former Secretary of State unless you're just fired from the position, but because she held that position until the next president came in and elected their own, or his or her own, Secretary of State. Um, I believe his, obviously, because I think the president after that was Trump. I want to say President Trump. Anyway, I'm getting into the weeds, but we did want to think of a good name for this doll. So we wanted her still to have an N initial for us to always remember that she was modeled after Nellie. And so we decided we wanted to still keep her name in the Irish culture. We wanted to pay tribute to the Irish culture. So her name is Nolan. We thought that was a good gender neutral name. A lot of girls are now starting to have a lot of gender neutral names that were reserved for boys. So I felt that Nolan would be the best choice for this doll. And so her full name is Nolan Lilibet. And one other thing that I didn't show you guys on the big reveal for both of these dolls is they do have a marking that says one of the kind on their foot. So on each pair of feet, there's one foot that has that marking. And I didn't really notice that until I decided that I wanted to change the dolls' outfits. And so once I saw that they were so unique in that way, I really felt like I wanted to keep them in their meet outfits for a little longer. So even though I'm looking at the differences in the dolls, I know that they are CYO dolls. I'm still astounded by the height difference because Nolan looks so much bigger and taller than her predecessor, Bryce. And so when I look at Bryce, she looks teeny weeny. She looks like an itty bitty thing. But I think that's just because of her face mold. And I don't know if American Girl is going up and down in scale when it comes to the doll's heights. I don't know if I can still claim that some of the dolls are 18 inches. I think some of them are barely reaching 18 inches, or else maybe some of the older dolls were close to 18 and a half. I'm not sure if they're using some kind of new system for measuring, but I can definitely see a difference that Bryce looks a lot smaller in stature compared to my first CYO doll, Nolan, now named Nolan. So I'm really happy with the fact that these dolls are now unique to my collection, and they're going to be unique no matter what, because even with her having been modeled after Nellie, there's still a lot of differences. Like she has pie bangs, and her bangs are a lot different than Nellie, just the way that they're laid, or the way that they lay on her face. And her hair's a lot longer. So I really tried to get as close as I could to the original Nellie wig, but it just never really worked out. But she's still a very pretty doll, very beautiful doll. So I am so happy to be keeping her. And with this doll, we are happy with how Bryce turned out, because we did want a doll with a splattering of freckles, with an array of freckles on her face, but we also wanted her to be a dark vinyl doll with very light eyes. And so a lot of people will argue that, African Americans have certain features, and um, I guess Caucasians and Asians and different races of people have certain features that are universal, and that's really a falsehood. When you think about the world and how everyone is just so unique in looks, in genetics, in phenotype, whatever you want to call it, in cultures, some of us just have different features, but that doesn't stop us from um, wanting to purchase dolls that look like us. And so the funny thing was that my nose is rather on the narrow side. I don't know where I inherited that in my family. And when I would pick out a doll, I was only given two face molds: Sonali, who had a wider nose, or Addie, who had a wider nose, and my nose is on the smaller side. And so it really didn't make any sense for me not to find a doll that had a similar nose. And so I just created one. And I'm sure that there are other African Americans who also have the same similar features that I have, where either they have light color eyes, some of us have freckles, some of us even have face moles that look like freckles. My lips are on the smaller side. They're not full. And so my top lip when I smile almost disappears. So it's really one of those things where I wanted a doll that looked like me. And this is the closest doll that I have in my collection that has similar features to my own. And so um, I just never liked that whole stereotypical terminology that people have, where when they look at dolls or they look at anything that looks like a model and they say that's how all people of color should look, that's how all Asians should look, that's how all Irish people, people of Irish descent, they should all have red hair. That's a stereotype. So I'm so glad that I was able to kind of venture out of that way of thinking and emerge into a new way of thinking. And I think that's why I like the CYO dolls, because you're not pigeonholed. I don't like the price. I don't like the fact that you have to pay over $200 for these dolls. I really feel like American Girl should really consider making these dolls as either a truly me doll or a girl of the year doll that is uniquely different, that is not always part of one race or one culture. They really need to start diversifying, which they promised. So um, that's why I decided to keep my modern day Nellie doll rather than just exchange her for another doll. I felt like my collection should represent people of the world, and it should represent different cultures. So that's my story, and I'm so happy to have these two CYO dolls as part of my collection. All right, talk to you guys later.